Alrighty, well, that will basically conclude week 1 of preseason for the Minnesota Vikings, so let's go ahead and kind of break it down. So, yeah, the Minnesota Vikings unfortunately fall to the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 24-13. So, yeah, let's go ahead and kind of break it down. So, yeah, basically, as I just stated, the Vikings unfortunately fall to the Seahawks by a score of 24-13, but that doesn't necessarily, tell the whole story or anything like that, but, you know, it's just nice to see the boys back on the field, and, there were some things that kind of piqued my interest and just sort of had me thinking, this is something to look forward to over the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, the first thing I will say, and probably one of the biggest things, is Ty Chandler, to me, is looking like the backup running back to Alexander Mattison. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Ty Chandler, granted, he only had 11 carries, 41 yards, with an average of 3.7, but he had some nice cuts, he had some nice bursts, he had some nice just overall, complementary moves and pieces to basically complement Alexander Mattison. So, yeah, while Alexander Mattison is probably, obviously going to be the number one running back, Ty Chandler could potentially be that nice piece to help, sort of balance out Alexander Mattison and potentially be maybe even the running back one of the future. I mean, ever since the Vikings, took a chance on him last year and stuff like that, he's just shown up in the preseason. And this year, now with Dalvin Cook, being a free agent and officially off the Vikings as of now, he could be that guy. He could be the number 2 running back, if not even potentially a number 1 running back moving forward. So that'll be interesting to see, how that all shakes out and stuff like that. Because Dwayne McBride had a decent day. Abram Smith looked all right. But for the most part, at this point, it's Ty Chandler's job to lose. Unless Kene Nwangu can come back in the next couple weeks and really just sort of, bust this thing open. But who knows? But again, Ty Chandler could potentially be that dude for the future. And then also, too, Nick Mullins, basically, in my opinion, solidified himself as the backup quarterback, which, granted, really doesn't mean much right now because, again, Jaren Hall is still, very, very raw as a quarterback and still has a lot of things to work out moving forward. But Nick Mullins, at this point, is probably going to be the backup to Kirk Cousins, which honestly isn't necessarily the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, Nick Mullins tonight went 14 of 20 for 139 yards and a touchdown. And by the way, that touchdown was a beautiful, beautiful Moss-style touchdown to Nick Muse. Where, again, Nick Muse has basically mossed his defender, and yeah, that was a beautiful catch. And that's another thing, too. Like, our tight end group this year, even outside of Hawkinson, looks potentially dangerous. Like, very underrated. I mean, Oliver looked good. Munt looked good. Nick Muse is another guy that could swing in there, too. I mean, who knows? I mean, the offensive weapons, between the tight ends and Jordan Addison looked every bit as much, in the short sample size that Jordan Addison was on the field, he looked every bit as much as that first-round draft pick that we thought he would be, and the replacement for Adam Thielen. Granted, like I say, KJ didn't play, JJ didn't play, Jalen Reagor stepped up pretty good, too, which was nice to see, and yeah, I mean, like I say, that wide receiver group is going to be very intriguing to watch over the next couple of weeks because there's a lot of really good talent there that probably won't make it. Either that or they'll end up on the practice squad and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Reagor led the way tonight with 4 receptions for 55 yards. N'Keal Harry had 2 catches for 24 yards. Ty Chandler had 4 receptions for 29 yards. And, yeah, Nick Muse had the touchdown, as well as a total of 3 receptions for 10 yards. So, yeah, I mean, granted, while those numbers aren't necessarily like wow numbers and stuff like that, but the offense is basically where I thought it would be at this point. I mean, the offense is looking good, There's enough pieces there that are getting the reps that they need to be potential, future stars. And, that deep depth that, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi are looking for in case something happens. And, yeah, I mean, like I say, between Ty Chandler, Nick Muse, and even Jalen Reagor coming back, Jordan Addison, and those guys, I like where the offense is headed. I like what I'm seeing there, and I like basically the direction this is going. Even if it didn't end up with us winning tonight, but as I said before, it is preseason. Take everything you see there with a grain of salt. And then finally, real quick too, over on the defensive side of things, my God, that Brian Flores defense was a breath of fresh air. Holy moly. Whew, man. I mean, it was nice to actually see some blitzing. It was nice to see guys up on the line. It was nice to see some attacking defense. I mean, this defense could be fun when we actually put in the, number one players, like the top safeties, the top like linebackers, the top defensive ends. Yeah, I mean, this defense could be fun to watch, especially when we get, like, Daniil back, Harrison back, and just, Lewis Cine stepped up. It was nice seeing him have a couple of big hits and big plays. And there's some good depth pieces there, too, that, Brian Flores will have a lot of fun looking at going into the next couple weeks and sort of molding his defense. Because, again, it was nice to see that. It was nice to actually see some attack and, some just overall urgency, some flow, basically, it was nice to see an attacking style of defense instead of the Donna Shell. Which, if I never have to hear Donna Shell defense ever again, thank the Lord if I never have to hear that again, because holy moly was that just... Whew. Yeah, if I never have to hear about a shell defense again, I'll be more than happy. But yeah, I mean, like I say, that is preseason. Take everything you see with a grain of salt, but there are definitely some key pieces. There are definitely some things that we can build on for the future. There's definitely some players and stuff like that are building their resume. There's guys, that could even potentially be part of other teams, part of the practice squad, and who knows. But it was just nice to see the Vikings back out there on the field and just kind of seeing some new stuff, seeing the new coordinators coming in and putting their stamp on the team. And yeah, I mean, like I say, all in all, I'm actually impressed, and, I'm not too worried, not too mad or anything like that. Like I say, it is preseason and all that stuff, so there's a lot of guys, especially in the third and the fourth quarter, those type of players that probably won't even be on the team, so, I'm not too worried about that, even though it is kind of bad when you blow, like, a third or fourth quarter lead, but, again, it is what it is. So, yeah, that'll basically wrap up this video, so, yeah. I mean, on to week 2 for the Vikings and all that stuff. And, yeah, we'll just basically see what happens when we play Tennessee in about a week. See what improves, see if we actually see any of our starters play in the next 2 games, or if basically we won't see them till we hit Tampa Bay on week 1 at home. Who knows? But the Vikings are back, boys. We're back. And boy, am I happy to see. And just, just to see the guys back on the field and stuff like that again, just because, yeah, I mean, It's been a long off season. I don't think I need to say anything there. It feels like these off seasons just get longer and longer, and then whenever you can see, just players out there doing their thing, it's always nice to see. So, but yeah, that'll basically wrap up this video. Also, stay tuned though, because I just recently picked up something that'll be a first in my collection. That is an NFL jersey. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and until we meet again, this is Jacob. Have a good day.